I'd like to call to order the special city council meeting for June 3rd, 2019, 6 p.m. Madam Roll Call.
Mayor Ronnie Felder.
Here.
Chairperson Kashamba Miller Anderson.
Present.
Chair Pro Tem Julia Botel.
Here.
Councilperson Trodrick McCoy.
Here.
Councilperson Shirley Lanier.
Here.
Councilperson Douglas Lawson.
Here.
Interim City Manager Deidre Jacobs.
Here.
City Clerk Claudia Anthony is present. City Attorney Don Nguyen.
Here.
You may proceed.
We'll have a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Lawson.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any disclosures by council? Can we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Lanier.
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson.
Yes.
Councilperson McCoy.
Yes.
Pro Tem Botel.
Yes.
Chair Miller Anderson.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
We don't have anything on our consent agenda. We don't have any unfinished business. No petitions, communications for filing, awards and presentations, public hearing. Public comment will begin at 7:30. Public comments should be restricted to issues, matters, or topics pertinent to the city of Riviera Beach. Please be reminded that the city council has adopted rules of decorum governing public conduct during official meetings, which has been posted at the entrance of the council chambers. In an effort to preserve order, if any of the rules are not adhered to, the council chair may have any disruptive speaker or attendee removed from the podium, from the meeting, and/or the building if necessary. Please govern yourselves accordingly. Public comments shall begin at 7:30 p.m. unless there is no further business of the city council, which in that event, it shall begin sooner. In addition, if an item is being considered at 7:30, then comments from the public shall begin immediately after the item has been concluded. Any person who would like to speak during public comments, please fill out a public comment card located on the table directly outside of the council chambers and give it to the staff before the public comment section is announced. We don't have any items tabled. Regular items, discussion and deliberation, item number 1.
Discussion and deliberation of citywide computer malfunctions and proposed restoration, maintenance, and upgrade activities. Madam Chair, we do not have any public comment cards on this item. The acceptance of public comment cards for this item is now closed.
Okay, Madam Manager.
Sure. Good evening.
Good evening.
Justin Williams, would you please come forward? Mr. Williams is the city's IT manager, and he'll be making this presentation. As many of you are probably already aware, on last Wednesday, May the 29th, the city in the early hours of the morning began to experience computer hardware complications. To date, the city's IT staff has developed a plan of action to assist us with remedying the situation and progressively moving forward. Mr. Williams will make the presentation to the board and to the public at this time.
Okay, so thank you for that.
Good evening.
Good evening. Well, you already said my name, but Justin Williams. I'm the interim IT manager for the city of Riviera Beach. And as Madam Manager had said there, we experienced in the morning of May 29th, 2019, the city of Riviera Beach experienced computer failures. And not just talking about computers, but server failures that cause systems to be down citywide. The city of Riviera Beach currently is working with third-party technology experts and network consultants, and we've developed a plan to restore services for the city with their computer networks and our city systems in general. The plan consists of, I wouldn't just say rebuilding, but we're reconfiguring the city's infrastructure and providing enhanced system redundancy so that if we do incur an outage like this again, it will actually be itself contained. So now, therefore, basically what I'm looking at is the city council authorizes the Director of Finance and Administrative Services to transfer for $941,600 from the project number 18089 to be set up for this project. And what that includes is basically we need citywide, let me look at this right here, make sure I give you the proper numbers. We need 310 citywide desktops, 90 laptops, again, and these are all legacy systems, legacy hardware, so we need to upgrade the legacy hardware so that we can better support our staff and our community and make sure that we don't occur these types of outages again. Then public safety will also need some hardware, and we are going to working with Dell EMC Solutions to actually procure the hardware to move forward with that. And also the police will need professional services for their CAD system to get it back up and basically to get the systems back up and functioning. Okay. We also will have the CRA company is doing diagnostics on our systems. And then we'll have professional services from Dell as well, or Flagler IO. They are a vendor for Dell, but they will be doing professional services to help the police side, the public safety side, take their new hardware that we're acquiring and get it configured and set up within the new network infrastructure. Again, with these, now the total for all of this with the desktops, laptops, the professional services, the public safety new hardware, and then the hardware that the public admin side needs for our back-end systems that have failed us, is going to be, as we look at it now, a total of $941,600, and that is before the insurance. Now, with the insurance covering 50% of the public admin hardware, from what I know, and I would refer to Marie Sullen about the insurance, but from those dollar amounts, rough estimate is going to be $623,300 after insurance, give or take. Now, so doing these steps, it's a three-prong effect. Is basically we will have new hardware to go with what we've already purchased from last year with our storage infrastructure and some of our networking infrastructure that we've already procured and have in place. Now we're just adding that last piece. Now, a lot of the public admin side stuff that I am requesting has actually already been put into our capital budget for next year, but due to these failures, and we basically have to move that time frame up. It would be a wise move, in my opinion, to do so. We have reached out to, like I said, third party, and we've reached out to the county to ask their expertise about what they think that we should do, and I believe we are all in agreement that pretty much this is the way to go, as far as it will allow us to reuse what we can, which is very little, if any, and still keep moving to try to get things back up and running as quickly as possible, because it's already been a few days, and I'm just trying to move as quickly as possible. So, but I do say that the capital budget, we already had this for next year, so again, if I can get this approved today, because my timeline had to get moved up, I would definitely, that would come off of next year, so at least there is that. But that's the crux of it.
Okay, do we have any questions from the board?
Madam Chair.
Yes. Councilwoman Bilton?
About how long before we'll be up and running?
Okay, so estimate would be, this gets approved, we start moving on services. I would say that we are going to get some services up and running, to be fully up and running 2 to 3 weeks, to be completely. I would rather I would rather tell you what's going to happen or what most likely could happen versus promising you a week from now and then nothing, and we're not there yet, okay?
Appreciate that. Follow up. All those emails that are sitting out there just waiting
Yes.
for me.
Yes.
I understand from some folks who've reached out to me by phone that they're getting a message that says,
Yes.
is it possible for them to get something more of a message when that message goes out that your email is not being delivered? Something that's sort of in a very short way says, because our systems are down and we look forward to.
No, unfortunately, due to
Part
the
of
fact that they are down, we cannot we cannot change that message. That is a boilerplate message, and because we want to make sure that, I cannot change it.
So when we get back up and running, will all those descend upon my inbox in one fell swoop?
No, they will not.
Are they out there lost?
No, right now they're bouncing back, trying to be delivered, but they will be lost.
Okay.
I don't want to say it, but I'm not
That's-
going to sit here and tell you otherwise. They are lost for now, and, yes.
Councilwoman, I'm sorry, were you done?
One last question. So if you were to be given approval to move forward tonight, how quickly can you get things ordered and rolling? I mean, it's.
Well, I can get them ordered.
Time is of the essence.
Yeah, yes, I can get them ordered tomorrow. I mean, I've already been on the phone with our Dell reps and all my other reps that I need to get moving on these projects. They're just waiting for approval, and of course, they're always waiting for the money, but they are aware of our situation and that we need to move. So again, things take a little bit longer nowadays due to the tariffs and things that are, especially in technology sector, but I believe that Dell does have expedient shipping for these types of circumstances. So I would have to talk to them, but I couldn't tell you that they would be here tomorrow or the next day, but I would say within the week they would be here.
I have last question.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Because the dollar amount has not been made known to the public, if we approve the expenditure this evening, can we, and this is really, I guess, for the city manager, can we ratify that dollar amount on Wednesday evening at our meeting so that we can move forward?
Yes, ma'am, it's my understanding that we can.
Thank you. No more questions.
Councilwoman Lanier?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Justin, for your presentation, and
problem.
thank your team for working tirelessly to get the system back up. I wanted to ask a question in regards to, I'm trying to get right in my mind of how this is going to work. Now, the system has been down, and I know that because the system is down and because what has happened with it, that there are security issues.
Yes.
So I don't want to get into too much detail about it because it is a security issue. I want to understand about the insurance piece of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the insurance person here?
Maria, where'd you go? All right.
Good evening, Council. Marie Sullivan, Risk Manager.
Good evening.
With reference to the insurance, once we were aware of the incident, it was reported to our carrier and our broker, and at that point, they dispatched two firms, one to assist us with the coaching of how to recover, process, and obtain, so that way we can be back up to speed. And then a second firm, basically to look into the hardwares that we have in the softwares, so they can make sure that we're better secured than what we are today. And there is coverage. The coverage basically for this, there is a $25,000 deductible, and anything beyond that they will cover. With respect to the public safety specific network items is covered. As it relates to computers itself, they still have to get that back to me. It's about 50% that they're looking at covering, which is what Justin mentioned.
Follow-up question. So it's the insurance company is actually covering the hardware, you're saying?
They will cover a percentage for 50% specifically regarding public safety issues, something that's specific with respect to recovering, such as the CAD system or the 911 system or anything that's considered critical. They will cover 50% of that when it comes to the computer.
I have a question regarding the insurance. Why is it that they're only covering for public safety?
The reason why, because our hardware, so basically, let's say if you have a laptop, your laptop is 7 years old or 5 years old, They're not going to give you a brand new one. What they will do is basically to try to get you to the best place where you can be, just like your auto policies. If you have a car, unless you have gap coverage or something, they will only pay you for what your car is worth, including the mileage and depreciation. So it kind of worked a little bit similar to that example.
I'm saying, why just public safety? Why not on the city side, the other departments?
Because to them, at this point in time, because it's still being evaluated further, but at this time, that's what they considered as a critical item. And it's to be continued, so.
But is it spelled out in the policy? What is covered and what is not, and what's critical and what's not critical?
It doesn't lay out specifically saying that your computer is considered non-critical. It doesn't lay it out that way in the policy itself. And that's the reason why we're working with brokers to see what is the extent of the language and exclusion of the policy. Each policy have a specific exclusion. And it's because of what occurred. Normally, our computer is covered under the property or the liability lines, because this is a separate line. This is in reference to cyber. So cyber only covers so much, where your property covers for the actual hardware itself. But because of this type of incident, that's not covered under the property line.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, follow-up question. I mean,
Yes.
I think that what you were asking too, Chairwoman, was the fact that you said that it was covering public safety. And I think the question was, why is it not covering the whole city? It's only covering up the one department, it looks like. I don't think I'm understanding. I'm sorry if I'm not understanding what you're saying.
For this particular incident, because each item is covered based on the incident that occurred under the policy. Based on this particular incident, they feel the critical need is for public safety, to get them up going really quickly. That's why the particular computers in question are covered at 50%, where the general population is not, because normally under this policy, computers are not covered. That's covered under liability property policy. And because of this type of incident, that the property policy does not cover that.
I understand.
Mr. Lawson, did you have a comment?
Yes, ma'am. More so for Justin, though.
Yes, sir.
Sir, what actually caused this failure, and how do we protect against this in the future?
Okay, so there was, what caused the failure, and this will cause failures anywhere, is that email got in, there was, someone clicked on an email, there was an intrusion, we became aware of it. As soon as we became aware of it, an active intrusion through our policies and through our procedures, we went and locked everything down. We started turning off everything. We started to try to isolate it, and then it came through legacy hardware, legacy software, and tried to come into our systems, so we turned everything off. And now we are in the process of mitigating that, and so that we can turn systems back on.
And because of the intrusion, that's why we have to expedite the process of
That is
updating
correct, sir.
software.
Because I can go ahead and I can image a machine. That machine is an older machine that it has to be replaced anyways, but if I can get the new machines and then also image what I can to make sure to speed this process up, and then that'll actually expedite it. So
And what alternatives do we have in the event that we don't approve the purchase as of right now within this budget? Is there any alternatives that are options for us for today?
well, I need to get new back-of-the-house hardware. I need those computers. We could image the machines that we currently have, but you will still incur a cost from professional services coming in, from my staff hourly rates, from what happens when the hardware ends up failing anyways. You will always incur more costs regardless, but this is the best and quickest way to mitigate this, to get everything up and running in the most expedient process. So either way, there is money being spent.
Go ahead.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Have we looked into an option of leasing some
We-
of this?
We have looked at that in the past. That was, but it has not been looked at currently. That is, that, in the past, we had looked at that, but the person is no longer here, and I don't want to talk about what he or she did or where that went, but I know that that was something that happened. We had talked about leasing computers in the past, but that did not seem to go anywhere from there.
But is that something we should be looking at now? I understand the need to try to move quickly, but with us not having all of the backup, and, you know, you have to understand, and I think I made this very clear earlier, that with the amount of money that we're being asked to spend,
Yes, ma'am.
basically overnight, not having any of the backup, not having the invoices, not seeing the quotes, not seeing anything to justify why we're going ahead and moving with this. It's almost like we're just going off of everyone's word. And I
Okay.
know I'm not comfortable with that.
Okay.
I would like to see documentation supporting all of this stuff, including the insurance policy. And I know it's difficult because we don't have the email, I mean, but for me, I need to see something.
I can
You
respect that.
know, to show, and I need to know that we're looking at all options, including leasing. I don't know how that works, but
Yeah.
I think that's something we need to look into, because if what's to say we purchase all of this stuff today, 2 weeks from now, we have the same problem. I know we can't guarantee anything 100%, but if we were leasing it, at least I'm pretty sure it's much cheaper than buying it outright and being stuck with it versus leasing it and probably having some kind of warranty, some kind of replacement, something, some other protection, maybe through the leasing option. And then the other thing is the 2 to 3 week, that just, to me, sounds very, like a short window. I mean, I know we want to get up and running tomorrow,
Yes.
but is that realistic, 2 to 3 weeks, that
Yeah.
if we get the approval, order it, and we have a team of people coming
Yeah,
in to
but
replace all of this
That's the
stuff?
thing, is we have professional services, people coming in, so we're working, you know, to get this moving as quickly as possible. But again, I would say that we're going to start getting services up and running shortly, or at least some of them, but until we get till we can get professional services come in, look, assess what was done, what needs to, like, as far as how far the intrusion went, and to do all the, you know, and again, I don't want to talk too much about everything that's going on, unfortunately, like, they need to come in and do their forensics and everything, but, you know, as we go through, and we know more, and I'm sure that these systems are safe, then I can start bringing everything back online. And we are still working, and we will continue to work to make that happen. But again, till I get definitive answers, I would say that, you know, the 2 to 3 weeks is good, but that's still a moving target. I mean, I can't sit here and tell you definitively on,
Right,
look at my
right, no, I
calendar,
understand.
but again, that seems reasonable to me as I start to turn systems on and find out where we are, and as we lean on some professional services and some people coming in, we do have the manpower to make it happen. It's, okay.
Okay, and then for the project that the money would be coming from, that is the Public Works Building. How much do we have left in there, Mr. Sherman? I think I recall we used some money from there for the EOC as well. I know we've chipped into that project quite frequently.
Good evening, Randy Sherman, Director of Finance and Administrative Services. The Public Works building has just over $5 million in it. And even though we're taking some money out of that for this, as Mr. Williams said, we were planning on doing some of these items in next year's budget anyway, so when we get to October, we can kind of replenish the Public
Do you know
Works
how much did we have in there for next year's budget to do this portion?
Madam
Remember
Chair,
the
it's
exact number?
$132,000.
132?
Maybe 300,000 or so? Yeah, about $300,000. So it's not a perfect match, but if we can spend this million, get some insurance money back, I mean, we may be off, you know, $200,000 to $300,000. But But right now, we don't have a design for the Public Works building, so
Right,
that's
right.
really the best. But the only other place that we have that kind of cash sitting around right now is in placement of the fire station, and I don't think anybody wanted to tap that, so
No.
Public Works.
Okay, all right.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, Botel and then Lanier.
This is for Mr. Williams. So we're replacing a fair number of computers. Those that are being retired, will they be useful, for example, for students to do word processing and maybe a little internet, or not at all?
I mean, we could, we have to re-image them, and when I say re-image them, we take hard drives out because I don't want to give anyone, take hard drives out, put another hard drive in, and then we just clean it out, so it's like brand new. But again, it's a 60 to 80 bucks for a new hard drive, throw one in there. I mean, but again, they are slow machines. They were already scheduled to be destroyed because they are talking anywhere from 2012 is pretty much the standard from when they were bought. So there you go. You're talking 7 years, but I mean, if we wanted to reuse them for something with a purchase of a hard drive, and then
But I'm saying, if I'm a kid at home and I'm, don't have anything,
yeah, well, of
and this
course
would
that,
give me, I could use it, if I put a new hard drive in,
yeah.
I could use it to do some
Okay.
word processing, get on the internet, do some research on the internet, that's okay. I
But-
don't care if it's 10 years old, if I'm a kid and I've never had a computer.
Mhm. Now, that is okay. Now, the other issue with that is the licensing piece. So now they come with a license on them. So those machines, when we re-image them, we would use a Dell factory image, and then we should be able to use the key that's on that box. But that's the last other little piece that I can think of, is that we have to make sure that we're not using our
Right.
corporate
Sure.
licensing
Sure.
for the machines, but we could look into that.
Okay, good, thank you.
I just wanted to be clear too about
Yes, ma'am.
the finance that you're asking about. I think I'm on the same vein with the councilwoman in terms of
Mhm.
having something, looking at something in front of me. But from what I understand, there's about $300,000 of the 900 that you're asking for that's in the next year's budget. There's about another 317 that you have for the insurance. So that basically leaves us with about 300,000 that we're really looking at to pay for this.
Okay.
Am I right, or am I?
No, I mean, as we're looking at it, that's about right. Yes, correct.
Thank you.
I have a question
Go ahead.
about the re-imaging.
Yes,
Do
ma'am.
we have a figure as to how much it would cost if we went that route?
If we went that route, I would have to look at, how much the professional services are going to cost, how many hours my guys put in, and then I will never be able to give you an exact figure on the price of the hardware failures that were going to occur and are occurring. So, I mean, that's kind of a moving target, but no, I don't have any hard figures.
You say failures that would occur after you've re-imaged it?
Well, no, when I mean failures, I mean that it's older hardware, and with older hardware is everything starts breaking down. So, my guys have spent more time over, working on these types of machines just in general to keep them in production and working. But they are slowing everyone down. They are slowing down everyone's production as far as what they're doing there, and they are making us more susceptible to security risks because old hardware doesn't matter. If you have old hardware and I put new software on it, the software may be more secure or better, but these machines still have old hardware with old flaws, and no matter what I put over it, it's not going to be nearly as secure or work as well as new hardware will. So I know looking at that number is very daunting, and I get that, and I don't want to be up here asking for anything more than I need, but we really need to move forward in some fashion, and I need to get moving on this because every day I come in here, all I
And
see.
I understand where you're coming from.
I know.
And
I'm pretty sure
I know
everyone
you all
up there-
know where I'm coming
Yeah,
from, is
yeah.
that
Oh,
I
yeah,
want
of
to be
course.
able to cover all options, look at all options. Are we able to do
I
a
agree.
hybrid, some old, some new,
Yeah.
of some things? And
Mhm.
I just want to be able to justify why I am agreeing to spend this amount of money.
Sure.
And be comfortable in knowing that we looked at numerous options, and this was the only way we could go.
Okay.
Okay, so I do want to see all of those documents. I'm not sure if the board is going to vote completely on tonight or have another discussion on this on Wednesday. Mr. Lawson, you want to make a comment, and then Mr. McCoy, you want to make a comment?
Yes. Madam City Manager, where do we stand with our Chief Information Officer? The search that we were doing?
Yes, sir. I did reach out to numbers 2 and number 3 from the previous search. Number 3 is no longer interested. Number 2's response was possibly, but he would have to get back with us, and if he could, it wouldn't be up until next Friday. Number 1 said no initially and then came back and said that he would consider it. I did have a meeting with IT staff, and I asked if they knew of anyone that could come in and assist us on a temporary basis, and they gave me an individual that I was going to reach out to on tomorrow that could possibly come in and help us temporarily.
So right now, number 1 said possibly, which was the initial choice. That was the one that we originally wanted $122,000 salary.
Yes, sir. He initially said no, and then he came back and said possibly.
Okay.
So we were waiting to hear back from him. Number 3 was no, and number 2 was he was just ending a project, and it wouldn't he wouldn't be available if he decided to do it until next Friday.
And Justin, would this fall directly underneath our Chief Information Officer? Would this be one of his responsibilities to cover?
Yes, yes.
Deidre, if we can, just follow up with that number 1 again to see if we can make an offer for him to come back to the table. I know the salary is the discussion as of the last meeting, so if we could have something before Wednesday, so we could try to vote to bring him to the table to help us out with this.
Yes, sir.
I have a question regarding that. Is he talking about coming at that amount or the above amount where it needs to come back to the board? Do we know?
No, I don't. I didn't talk to him. The HR director called each of them.
So he would consider coming based on what figure? We don't know.
She didn't share with me if a figure was discussed, so
Okay.
I can't answer that.
Now, with this being a brand-new position, this position has never existed before. So the position that Mr. Lawson is talking about, right, is a
Well,
brand-new position?
it's been in the budget for a
Yeah,
year.
it's been in the budget
Yeah.
for a year,
Yes.
but it's never been filled.
No, that is correct, yes,
So
ma'am.
who
Yes,
would
ma'am.
have fallen under before that position was created?
That would have been me.
Okay, all right. Mr. McCoy, did you want to make a comment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. A few things. So, Mr. Williams, you gave off a lot of numbers. I want an itemized breakdown of that.
Okay.
I don't feel comfortable with voting for it,
Okay.
because, I think I met Thursday and I popped in on Friday. At the very least, we should have had some sort of, a little more understanding. In fact, I asked my staff person I believe she may have contacted you, because I knew that this was going to be a conversation. And for us not to have an itemized breakdown of exactly what $941,000, and I'm, there's nothing online, and I'm trying to write down as fast as you were talking.
Okay.
To me, it just seems like I definitely have to support it, but I have to have some substantiation in order to do it.
Okay.
First, I know I did mention to you that about useful life. You said these machines were all 2012?
Most of them are 2012. Some of them are a little bit newer. Most of them are 2012. I found some 2016 in there. And I found some, and I will give you an itemized breakdown of that as well, but most of them, I'd say a good 40% of them are 2012. Some of them are maybe a year or two newer. Some are a year or two older, but that's the 2012 mark is around where most of them are at.
Do we have a fixed asset log on our computer equipment? Obviously, there has to be a fixed asset log.
We have, we do have a system. Currently, we are using a system to asset all new things. We have a legacy system that we have asseted some of the older items, and we are basically transferring them over to Asset Tiger. So, but
Let
it
me stop
is
you.
okay.
Let me stop you, Mr. Williams. So the fixed asset
Yes,
log that we have,
yes.
we maintain.
We maintain by manually putting it in. It was using Smartsheet, which is a cloud-based, a cloud-based Excel spreadsheet. So we do have lists. Now, as far as how up-to-date those lists are on the older items, I would say that it's hit or miss. Unfortunately, these, long before myself and anyone else, we were trying to keep a track on this, but it has gotten, it was not done fully. And ever since the IG came in, we have been using Asset Tiger and making that a focus of this department ever since then to make sure that we put all new items in there, and we are working on tracking and logging the old items as well.
Okay, so in this fixed asset registry or
Yes,
log
yes, sir.
or journal or however you want to call it, we have our own asset tags that we put on our computer equipment?
Okay, we use the service tag of the computer that comes from the manufacturer as the asset tag per se, because that allows us to track the year that it was bought, what was configured in it, and when the warranty is up. But that is what we use currently to track that.
Okay, thank you. That's where I was going. So
No problem.
do we also maintain in that log when we do our regular routine updates and maintenances and software patches and those things?
No, that is not part of that. That is done through a Windows server called a Windows Update Server, or WUS. Those things are not logged or added to an asset per se, but that is, but those updates are pushed out every third Wednesday of the month, because they come out on what they call Patch Tuesday.
Right.
So, yes,
So does that go to all the machines
correct,
that's only on the network
correct.
at that time? So when they do go on the network, for instance, if they've been off of
Mhm.
unplug,
Yes.
does it automatically do it?
Yeah, what it will do is it will go and try to talk to the server and pull down what it's missing, and then at the next, what they call, well, now they call it the off hours, it will go and install those updates. Yes.
And that has occurred because, you know, in most of those cases, these vulnerabilities and
Yes.
these avenues for us to have these kind of intrusions occur when you don't have the latest patches and software updates. So my question is, has that occurred on all of these computers that you're asking us to replace?
I would say yes, but I would have to go through and look at them, but that is the policy. That's how I check the Windows updates. It goes through, it's supposed to be automated, and then basically it will go ahead and update. But they are all part of the Windows Update server, and they should be patched. That is, yes.
Okay. Asset disposition, what happens after we replace these computers? What happens to the old ones?
What happens
They
to
have
the old
any
ones?
salvage value?
Well, as of right now, they do not. We take the hard drives out, and and we basically take those machines, and we will take the hard drives to shred it to make sure they are properly destroyed, and then we will get rid of the machines. They are, like I said, even without this, they are a legacy system that, unless otherwise directed, very little, if any, true work would get done. And now if there was someone that you wanted to give it to, a kid who didn't have something, that would be fine, but we'd have to work out the licensing agreements and all those things. But overall, no, there is no salvage, there's no money back for these being discarded.
Okay, and would we be able to, I guess, we're being asked to vote tonight?
For me, I'm not comfortable with voting without having any documentation, as I stated earlier. I'm not sure about how the rest of the board feels, but if there is an option, if there is some hesitation, if there's an option to get this backup information, and with those options, and look into those other options, and then be able to put it back on the agenda, put it on the agenda for Wednesday, where we would then take a vote, or if you have additional comments based on the documents that you provided on tomorrow, then we could have a discussion and decide then.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I am in agreement with that. I'm very, as you say yourself, we're talking about a lot of money, and I totally agree with how you're going to spend it. It's just that we don't have anything in front of us to be able to make that determination. We don't know exactly how much is coming from the insurance. We know what we have up front that's going to be for next year. How much is the insurance is going to cover for the police department versus the whole city. So just to have those numbers in front of us, so we'll know exactly how much we are spending of the public's money, is something that I will feel much more comfortable with if on Wednesday we can have that for us so that we can vote.
Sure.
Can I follow up?
Go ahead.
This question is for the city attorney. Did you review the policy?
No, I have not.
So, I guess this is where we are now. This is the understanding of what we got from risk manager, tentatively through the broker and the carrier.
That's correct.
Is there a way? This is not to be taken as a joke, but is there a way that we can be emailed the policy? I mean, at least because. Some kind of way. I mean,
How many,
are you-
how many pages is it?
oh, it's got to be hundreds. I was looking at my liability insurance policy for my business, and that's a couple hundred pages. So, my question is, I share those same sentiments, and I was not prepared to vote on something like this, but I need something a little more specific. And the timeline that you gave, Mr. Williams, I'm not even sure I understand it. It has to be, we should have came in here and had a spreadsheet, PowerPoint that says, tomorrow, this what happens. Because when you say network and you say computers, that's two different things. Network is a shared drive. Network also controls our internet. Those are completely and mutually independent of the computer system. While they do work together, we're talking about a lot of different things all at once, and it's all going together, and I can't make sense of what happens tomorrow when we give you the authority to go out and make these purchases. Do we harden our network first, or do we go and purchase computers? I want to understand more specifically, and if you have whatever you were referring to on that list, is that something that we can have now, that I guess the itemized list that you were referring to?
Yeah.
Because I specifically tried to call ahead to see if there was any kind of.
I know, and we were putting this together, so I apologize for that. I wish I had something for the council to look at. I didn't want to do this like just willy-nilly, for lack of a better way to put it. We're doing a lot of things all at once, trying to get everything together, so I apologize for not having the backup material for you to look at, and I will get it for you before Wednesday so that you can look at it.
Hold on.
Okay, Ms. Jacobs, have you met with Mr. Williams regarding these numbers?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
the numbers were just developed late this afternoon, so that is why the information was not provided to you earlier.
Okay, so, and I imagine that had risk management a part of that conversation, as well as the city attorney?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Dr. Botel, you mentioned moments ago something about ratifying on Wednesday. I wasn't quite sure what that meant. Can you?
Madam Chair, I think now my question might be, is there an amount that you feel that you need immediately to begin to harden the servers, for example? Can you break down for us this evening so that we might be able to vote as a group on the most critical component? And if you had a number and an explanation for that number, it might persuade us that we could at least take a vote on that aspect of this. I don't know.
That's not going to work for me.
What?
No.
What-
Because the only reason I say that is because it's, and I appreciate, I know how much you've been working, the whole team has been working over the weekend on this, and I know that it's been kind of hard to turn it around, working on trying to get things done and trying to come up with numbers, but even if he gave a number, I don't see in writing what that what that means or what it includes. So he really can't give me a number to make me comfortable without seeing the backup for it.
Follow up.
Go ahead.
So, Dr. Botel, respectfully, can you, because I totally missed what you were attempting to do when you said ratify. I didn't understand that. Can
What I
you
was- thank you,
elaborate?
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
I was saying that if tonight he did not, because we did not have an opportunity to apprise the public of the final number, it would have been inappropriate for us to even vote on a number this evening because the public did not have an opportunity to weigh in on it. In the absence of that information, it would not really be a legitimate vote, in my opinion. Our attorney might have another opinion. So my suggestion would have been, had it not come to light that you really wanted more information, and I understand that completely, my suggestion would have been that we vote to let him go forward and then making these purchases and then ratify the amount after the public has been apprised, and we have been apprised of the final number. But given the fact that you have expressed such a desire, and I understand it completely, and I agree, that we need to see the backup, I can understand waiting until Wednesday night. So it really, my motion, my suggestion that we ratify on Wednesday is now moot because we're not going to vote on anything this evening, it appears. We're going to wait until Wednesday to vote on everything.
Follow up.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, I don't think we can vote and then ratify later. So here's what I was thinking, and I wanted to get feedback from also the chair, the manager, and the members, as well as the attorney. Obviously, we know this has to happen. I don't want to tie their hands longer than we have to, and I want to really see if this isn't a palatable option that we put the responsibility on the manager. Clearly, we've been down now, today's Monday, we've been down for 4 or 5 days. If we declare an emergency, that would allow the manager to increase her spending authority with the premise that whatever that takes for Mr. Justin, that there is itemization, that they're not waiting on us to come back as a board, and that the very next meeting, we have a report on exactly what that is that was spent and what that covers, and we move on from there. Because I think what it does, it gets us to the point of us having some sort of itemized number, because clearly I don't think any of us are software or computer experts to debate whether or not those are real numbers, but I wanted to at least get the ball going today by giving that city manager that authority. And then if he goes tomorrow, if Mr. Williams goes tomorrow and make a first purchase, I want that to be a part of the city manager's comments and presented to us, because, if we're talking about 2 weeks, we have lost a lot more in productivity as a city. And I think it'll just be better if we can have some accountability, but we can start moving forward with some level of progress and getting them to where they need to be.
Well, I just have a question. So essentially, we'll be doing what we don't want to do tonight, is voting for it anyway, without having the information. I mean, it's just doing it on the back end versus doing it tonight.
Well, and that's why I wanted to make the city manager very much responsible for it and make her accountable to us every single meeting, as well as Mr. Williams here, to say, okay, we did 150,000 and this is what it was for. This is the progress we've made. We're at 80%, as opposed to coming back again on Wednesday. And, because I want it to be where we can know exactly what our portion is under the insurance, as opposed to blindly writing the check or transferring almost $1 million into a new account. And, because let me tell you what happens. I'm an accountant. People conveniently find things that will total $1 million. And that's not what I want to happen here. I want to make sure that every dime that we set forth is under close scrutiny and that it is succinct to where we need to be to get our system back up and running.
Right, and I mean, I agree with that, but I'm not comfortable with the blindness of just going ahead and even declaring an emergency without at least having that information. Now, what I do want to know is, since we've been down, and this may be for city manager, what's going on with the departments in terms of who's able to work, what's not getting done? How limited are they, the departments?
Madam Chair, all department heads have been directed to continue to perform as many services as they can using the telephone and manual systems. From my understanding, of course, police department is affected more so than any other department, and community development is affected with regards to their permits.
Okay, so mainly permits, but there's no life safety issues being compromised in the police department, is it? Chief?
Mr. Madden, could you come up and answer that question?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mike Madden, Interim Police Chief.
Good evening.
The 911 system where the calls come in is a county-wide system, so you can rest assured a call for police or EMS or fire, those calls are coming through. All of our former computer functions for dispatching that call are now on paper. So every call that comes in gets written on a piece of paper. Every police report gets written on a piece of paper. So those are 280 per day. So at some time, someone's going to have to re-enter those. Information that the systems give us, like if we have a dangerous property, it's in the system. So if a call comes in for that location, it may give a warning for the police. But presently, all those systems aren't working. So there are elevated risks.
Okay. I think, Mr. Williams, thank you, Assistant Interim Chief. You said there were some systems that were working or were up still, but some are down?
No, everything is down right now.
Okay.
Because we want to make sure that something that wasn't affected doesn't get affected.
Okay.
So as of right now, everything is down for safety purposes, for the betterment of our technology infrastructure. Everything is down. I know that we are working on transferring some things that we can to for finance. We're trying to move their server to the cloud for right now, so that they can have their finance system. I know that some of their systems are cloud-based right now, so those are working. As of right now, we all know that our email is down. The file shares and the file servers are down as well right now. The phones are working, the internet is up in some locations, but again, you can't do anything unless it's web-based and out there, because no internal resources are actually turned on right now. So yeah, I mean, when I say we're down, we are down.
Okay, and so I'm just thinking, with your option that you're suggesting, I would be comfortable with making a decision one way or the other, at least on Wednesday, with some backup information.
Okay.
I'm not even comfortable with doing the emergency tonight. If I get that information in my hands and I can feel comfortable in knowing that this is what needs to be done, this is the only option we have, then I would be more open to it once I've had the information in front of me. So I wouldn't have a problem with revisiting your idea on Wednesday. I don't want to make any decision on something I don't have any information on. So that's where I am with it. Anyone else have any comments?
Follow up.
Yes.
So, Mr. Williams,
Yes, sir.
did I hear you say that the phones were working? Because I didn't think that was true for
Yeah,
the
well,
ports.
the phones are working at the, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Okay.
Is that true for the port center?
Okay.
Because I thought I tried to contact them and I couldn't get through.
The port center is, EOC is up. I'm not 100% sure if the phones are up over there. I know that we have phones up at City Hall. I know they're up at the Public Safety Building, but I do not know if they're up at the Port Center, because we had to kill the internet over there while we were trying to you know, get our heads around what was happening at the Port Center.
Follow up, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Would the chief or Ms. Sullivan be able to answer that since they have offices in the Port
Sure.
Center?
Madam Chair, I can answer that.
Go ahead.
From my understanding, the phones are not up at the Port Center.
Okay.
And that's inclusive of HR, police, and who else? Civil drug court? Is that all we have over there?
Reentry.
And reentry
Reentry.
and procurement?
I know definitely they're not up at Human Resources. Mr. Little, are they up at?
No.
Okay.
So when they're saying not up, the phones and the computers are not up?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, Madam Chair, so to your point of you having the documentation, would it, I guess, would whatever Mr. Williams read off of, would that suffice? Or were you
Yeah,
looking for
no.
something more specific?
More specific and to know that that is the only option. Like I just brought up about the leasing, looking into leasing, you know, instead of purchasing. We don't know, that may be, I mean, in terms of the timeline and getting it, I'm sure it would probably be the same, maybe. I mean, I don't think that would change. I think the amount would change. So that's why I would like to see what that looks like. I mean, if
Okay.
that's enough, what's the benefits, what's the downside to have leasing versus purchasing? And that's not something, if we go ahead and agree to buy and not look at that option, then, you know, I mean, later on, we may figure out that may have been a better route to go. Why are some of the phones up in some places and some places they're not?
That would be, honestly, that would be a networking question. I know that we killed like the internet and things like that, but for some of the locations, the phones weren't turned on. I don't know if it was because of the shape that the Port Center was in, but I know that we have systems in place now, and my network guy was working on getting the phones up there. I will ask him tomorrow, but I could not tell you why they're not up there and they're up here. But I believe it was because he was doing some work, but I could not tell you off the top exactly what he was doing or why they're not up there.
If it seems that it's going to be a couple more weeks or so before we can get, so we would essentially be waiting for the network, the server and all of that before their phones can get up?
I will speak to my network admin to make sure that there is no other way that we can get those things up.
Because what I was going to ask, and I don't know how far-fetched this is to purchase cell phones and transfer the phone calls to the cell phones, and maybe they can utilize that so that they have a phone.
Okay.
Now, is that even possible? I don't know.
No,
I'm just throwing that out.
it is possible, but I believe it'll be quicker to get the phones back up. I just need to have a conversation tomorrow with.
Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, so for me, I mean, there's a lot of, just trying to figure it out. I just don't want to rush this and not know that this is the only way.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
I agree, but, in this situation, I don't think we have much of an option because we're losing, not only have we lost productivity, but if I'm not mistaken, we can't even accept electronic payments for utility billing. And, that was another point that I want to make sure that I bring up a little later, that I hope we are suspending any kind of disconnections or anything relative to that, as well as putting a suspension on incurring or accruing fees or fines during this time period, just so that, because our system's not in place. But I think the longer we wait, the more expensive it's going to be. I think the chief made it clear that somebody has to go back and manually enter in those CAD items, as well as I'm sure someone's going to have to go back and reconcile those accounts that we did receive cash payments for. You know, the only option that I can think of to get these folks moving, because this is 500 employees, $100 million operation, we have to do something. And as much as I am like the real bean counter here, I don't want to continue to delay the inevitable. But I want some, if the emergency is an option, I want some very strict accountability with our city manager and with Mr. Williams and with the chief and with the attorney and with risk management to report back here every step of the way exactly what happens tomorrow, day one. This is an emergency. It comes to the point, members, where this conversation should not even be in a public meeting, because we have so many critical issues that the city is responsible to providing service to our residents, including police, fire, and I don't even see anybody from our utility department, but those are 24-hour-a-day operations. So they have a SATA system over there that monitors the lift stations all around the city. I don't want us to get into more and more into the mud if we continue to delay, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
if we do declare an emergency, what would be our spending limit for our city manager? What would that increase it to?
I'm not sure offhand. Madam Attorney, or
Mr. Sherman.
we would have to look, and Mrs. Sherman, are you aware? We have to look, at please.
Ricky Little knows.
Mr. Little?
25,000 per ordinance for the bank. It won't exceed that.
That's what she has
That's
already,
shared
though.
thousand now.
That's what it is now.
That's what it is already.
So it doesn't change?
It does not change.
Are you sure? Because I know in the past, when we declared an emergency, there was times where that limit was exceeded. Is that
Yeah.
accurate?
And Madam Chair?
Yes.
While he's on his way up, what would be our opportunity? What kind of money do we need right now to get started on something tonight? What amounts? Could we piecemeal this at all? Because I know you're asking for close to $1 million. If we did even make this an option, what amount could we start with to say, hey, let's just get started on ordering, let's get our systems in place? Is this something we can even piecemeal at the time, or is it something we just have to do all at once?
Let me,
Madam Chair,
Yes.
would you consider allowing us to use the monies that would have been used anyway as a part of the budget process to replace the older computers?
Madam Chair, I wouldn't be comfortable without knowing exactly what we're spending it on. Just the simple reason is we buy these new computers and our network still needs to be worked on, or we need to provide support and coverage for these computers. I don't want to infect the new ones that we bring in. So before we just start spending money and getting to work, what do we need to get done tonight?
Madam Chair. Yeah, it's done.
Well, he's waiting on the answer, but, hold on a minute.
so,
Hold on.
so if we could get if we scrap the computers and laptops for now, as I was talking to Chief Madden here, because it's more important that we get the CAD system up, and that is our back-end servers. We need to start building or finishing their infrastructure so that they can move their servers and get things going on that end. So if we were to take off those top two items, which is the desktops and the laptops, that's a total of 400 between the two form factors. Looking at this amount sheet that we put together, that's $368,600 off the total there. So that would just leave the public safety hardware that we're using to harden the infrastructure and harden the network, as well as give them the server capacity and hardware that they need to get their systems back up and running. That total is $340,000. Okay, and then there's the public admin servers that we're requesting that we need to upgrade. That's $150,000. Then the rest are professional services, one being from CAD, from the CAD company, which Central Square, they are a sole provider. And the other two are professional services for the police to build out that infrastructure for them, and the professional services diagnostics is for looking at the network and trying to make sure that we're hardening it and going through this incident. Okay, so the most critical, as I look at these, for getting us moving at this very moment, in my eyes, would be the CAD professional services, because it is a proprietary system and they have to build it out, and the hardware for public safety and public admin. So that is a total of ballpark $390,000, or $400,090. That's without the computers. And
But a portion of that would be covered by insurance. That
is correct, yes.
so-
Well, hold on, let me not speak out of turn here.
Madam Chair?
Because
hold on.
it is servers, not computers, so I'm not sure if it is covered or not, so let me, Marie?
Madam Chair, could we just get Mr. Williams' paper, and I'll make a copy of it,
Yeah.
so that we can just look at this?
Can you make a copy of it for everybody? And the public. Just make that. We'll get his, get a copy of his. Marie, were you coming up?
We got it.
Marie Solon. Based on my conversation with Chubb, which is a carrier, I was informed that the network would be covered, just the laptop that they couldn't confirm at the time. They were just going through the policy, and I contacted our broker. They were doing the same thing. I will have they're supposed to expedite I'm going to have them expedite 8 copies of the full policy, and you all can have a copy upon receipt as your backup as to what the specific are and what the exclusions are.
So we don't know if the 490 is exactly what we would have to spend, or if that,
I would have to, basically what they require from us right now is to line item, which is what Justin has in his hand, everything that we'll need, we forward that to them, and then they will tell us what's covered, what's not covered. If we feel something should be covered under the policy, based on our discussion with our broker, then they'll go ahead, we have a claim advocate who will fight on our behalf, basically, to obtain anything else that we feel we should be entitled to.
okay. Mr. Lawson, did that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you want to go?
When Justin, did he go to make
I
copies?
think, I don't know.
Okay.
I'll call Charlie, went to make the copies. Anyone else have any questions or comments? So the emergency thing is still,
Ms. Nguyen, you have the code there?
Yes.
I was particularly looking at section 16.5-66 entitled Emergency Procurements, and I wanted to know would that section be applicable in what I offered?
Initially, when you were talking, I thought you meant that you wanted the council to declare a state of emergency based on what has occurred. This is just our regular, typical emergency procurements. When there is not time to competitively solicit, we would then, we have the right under the code to do an emergency procurement. It does not increase the manager's spending ability, as Mr. Little stated.
My question has to wait for Justin, and it was essentially the question I asked some time ago in this meeting,
About
which
what?
which
yeah.
relates to what's critical. If we could vote on something this evening that's critical, that he could get started on the servers, let's say, or on some component, which it sounds like he's identified. And that would be my preference would be to allow him to get started.
Madam Chair?
Morning.
Go ahead.
I think that once we have a look at this line item budget that Mr. was going on for. I think that we need to look at the two critical areas he said that we need to go forward with, see how much the insurance to back out of that, and then go forward with that.
Okay. Where'd he go? He went in the back, I don't know why. Well,
Take a break.
well, we will be starting public comment in a second, but, yes, please. If about 4 people, I think, have gone back there to help out with copying, so, I don't know. All right. Everybody has a role. Come on out, Mr. Williams, we have a question for you.
I think it's been asked, but maybe not answered completely. So it was my original question, which was, what do you need that's essential if we could parse it out from the rest of the request and give you permission this evening to go forward with the absolutely essential? And I might also ask you, have you determined without any question that these are the best prices from the best vendor?
Okay.
Is there any question in your mind that these numbers might change if you did any further exploration with other vendors, with other?
Okay. Now, the reason why we go to Dell is because we leverage their WISCA contract, which is competitively priced, and they already go out and do that for this very kind of situation. And we are a Dell shop, so I'm confident in their pricing that they will be the lowest one if I went out to, say, another vendor like PCM or well, not SHI, but there are other vendors, but, going to, I can go to other places, but because of that contract, and we've had a standing contract with them, and everything that we purchase from Dell actually has it on the top. If you look at the PO, it's already gone out to bid to be competitively priced. So I'm confident in that. And we are buying, everything that we're leveraging here is from Dell. Some of it says Flagler IO, but that is a Dell vendor, and they are using Dell's WISCA contract. These are all things that, again, I can go out and get you other quotes, but I don't believe they will be lower. Now, I understand that you want to see that. I understand that. That's not a problem. It's just the clock is always ticking. But Dell and Flagler IO are both working off the same contract. Central Square is a single proprietor, like they're the only ones that actually do this work and can do this work. So that one I can't get, or the police can't get 3 quotes. It's not my job to get those quotes, but and so I'm confident knowing how these contracts work and knowing a little bit about going through this before with the other hardware that I was up here a couple months ago asking for, that these prices are as low as they're going to get. I understand that you need to see something else and you want to see other quotes, and I will bring them to you, but I'm confident that these will be the lowest that we are going to find.
And a follow-up. And the numbers that you have here in terms of the specific numbers of servers, for example, that wouldn't change with any other investigation on your part?
So when you say that, you're talking about?
The three public admin servers, the one professional services from the professional services rather from Central Square.
Yeah, Central Square.
So it's really just 3 servers right now, some public safety hardware. I'm looking at eliminating for this evening's purposes the top 2 lines, the desktops and the laptops.
Okay.
And saying to you, go forward tomorrow morning, purchase the absolutely necessary things that you need to purchase, come back to us on Wednesday with the backup documentation that others have requested of you, and I agree that this is necessary for us on the other items. And I agree completely that we need to have a day-by-day report on how things are going so that we're aware and we can report back to our constituents. Is that possible? Is it possible to parse that out such that can be done?
I mean, yeah, we can. Again, for the thing that I lean on here is, yes, I want to get my my public admin side up, and I want to get the Exchange back up and running, and all those things. Now, in this public safety hardware, there is a server in there as well. They just kind of lump this together as, so these 3 servers, the most critical as everyone has told me, and I've been made well aware, the most critical is public safety. You know, we don't want to have anyone, we want to make sure that the police and fire can do their jobs. So as much as I would say, oh, I need these three and I need them now, I need the PD to be able to get up quicker than us right now. To be completely honest, if, you know, I can re-image the machines, but ideally, those two items in there, the public safety hardware and the public admin servers, and then the professional services for the CAD, those are, and all these professional services are for the public safety side, so all that stuff is necessary. That is the most critical on this list.
So it looks like, in my rough calculation, 575,000. Some, if not most, well, at least maybe half of it would be paid by insurance.
If the insurance is willing to pay for the servers, correct, and not just computers, then yes, it would be paid half by insurance.
I, for one, then, would like to go on record as saying I would prefer it if we moved forward this evening, allowed you to buy the most important, critical life safety, public safety issues here, and then come back to us on Wednesday evening with all the other support documentation, but at least you'll be getting started on the most critical things.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Sir, if we do provide these servers and we get these up and running and there's infected computers within those areas, could that destroy or damage our new servers that we're purchasing?
Well, that's why we're working to get this network hardened and put things in place to isolate them, and we will not put any machine that has been hit or affected back on the network. We are already on, our network administrator and has already been working on creating other networks that we can put them on to try to make sure that we're being as thorough as possible. It's going to take time, but those police machines that were affected are unplugged, and I believe they are stacked up and being stored right now, because we are not touching them or putting them anywhere near the network till we are 100% certain that everything else is cleared out. So again, yes, if there was a machine that was having an issue, but we didn't put these things in place, it could happen again, but we have gone through, taken all those machines out, and the only machines, because we are going through one by one with my guys, we're imaging everything to make it fresh, and as soon as we do that, then we will know and we can put that out there. So it's a tedious process, but that's the way it has to be done, and that's how we're going to handle it.
So are we going to implement that police and fire on separate servers? Because from my understanding, we were all on one server, so when we redo this, they're going to be on their own servers now?
Correct, and before, we had 5 servers, and they were all on there. I believe about 8 months, maybe a year ago, Ben and the police had talked about, we want to get our own hosts, our own servers, right? So they bought one, they came back and said, is this going to be good enough for what we need, Justin? I said, yes, please get another one. So they have 2, they need one more. And then that was the plan originally, was that they were going to get 3 hosts or 2 hosts and their own storage device so that they could be completely separated. Now we're separating out the network as well, physically, logically, so that if something happens over on that side, it won't affect our side and vice versa. And that was the plan all along. This has just sped up that timeline.
Last question. Will we need to purchase for police and fire to get them up and running additional software, desktops or laptops to go along with the servers to get them running, in addition to those server costs that we have to do right now?
Okay, so as of right now, like I'm saying, is that as long as we image those old ones, okay, if you're talking about just trying to get started and try to get as quickly as possible, I can have them image the machines that I have, but I need to get their servers up, I need to get their storage device so that they can start building out their servers on their side of the network, and then we can handle the desktops and laptops as we go. But it's not ideal, but if it's what we have to do, it's what we have to do. We just need to get going, and I need to get their servers and our servers so that we can start rebuilding this thing and nice and clean and proper. Okay.
Council McCoy?
I just wanted to say that, I think
McCoy,
that,
wasn't it?
I'm sorry.
I didn't hear you.
She can go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say that, Councilwoman Botel talked about the $575,000, and if the insurance pays 50% of that, then we're looking at about $287,000, and I think that if we could approve that amount tonight and then move forward with a full budget and budget justification for each of these items, meaning not just a number, but a justification, meaning each and every item that's associated with that figure, so that when we come on Wednesday night, we know what we're going to be voting for, and you already have a head start tonight with going forward with this. But we're going to have justification of each of those budget items.
Okay.
Mr. McCoy?
Well, I respectfully, Councilperson Lanier, I'm certainly sharing those same sentiments, but Wednesday's going to be a pretty hectic agenda, and I just don't want to really continue to do this. I mean, it's already bad enough that we have to be here to discuss this, and I'm just really willing to set forth and give them whatever they need, because I don't want to see this again. This is not a good situation for any of us, and I know we all want to be good stewards, but if we have to bring this back up again, this is going to be another lengthy discussion. I mean, we've already an hour and a half in. I just would be okay with just voting this or putting the motion on the floor as is, with the condition that there is some supervision from the city manager as well as finance and a regular routine timeline. I don't know, I guess we can't get emailed it, but however we get it, but what has to happen, because, this is just one of the many problems that we have in Riviera Beach, and by gosh, I don't want to spend too much time on it. If they need this to operate, then, I want to give it to them. I don't want to waste any more time, because this is going to be another lengthy discussion, and then if something comes up that we're not familiar with, then that may extend it even further. So, Madam Chair, when board members are done, I want to see if I can reserve an opportunity to put a motion.
Okay. Mayor, did you have any
Yes,
comments?
thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Councilman McCoy. I think that we can't continue to piece stuff together. We're piecing our city hall together, we're piecing our fire department together. These are the experts. I think that we need to move forward to get what we need and be more proactive. I think we are just being caught in reaction all the time when something happens. So I think this is the right move to go ahead. I would approve all of it to get it started so we can move on to the next big project that we need to do. But, I just see that we're used to piecing stuff together, and I think it's just time that it's going to cost us, but I think it's really the city's fault that it's costing us, because we kind of overlooked this amongst other things. So I think it's just time to do what's right by citizens. If it's going to affect our police department or any other department, I think we need to make the right decision tonight to go ahead and move forward.
All right, do we have someone want to make a motion?
Madam
If
Chair.
we don't have any other comments?
Last comment. For my colleagues, I really would want us to take into consideration moving forward with our chief information officer to oversee this entire project before we make the decision to put $1 million into our network. We want somebody that's going to be qualified to handle it, and while I do believe our interim director is capable, I really would like to get someone that's qualified to handle it in place prior to doing and spending this $1 million.
All right, anyone else?
Madam Chair, I think that we should move forward with the motion.
All right.
I move that we accept the resolution as presented. Conditionally, I want strict accountability and supervision with regular and routine updates from either our city manager and our finance director, and also Mr. Williams, and or risk manager with the timeline of these events and the progress, at least at a minimum weekly.
Okay.
Second.
All right. I know we didn't have any when we were doing the discussion, but are there anyone in the public that wish to make a comment regarding the motion item that we just discussed? Yeah, you can come up and you can just fill out a card afterwards. Since we made a motion to move forward, and they've had an opportunity to hear, then I will allow them to speak. Yeah,
Yes,
the
Mayor.
clock, hold on 1 minute. Yeah, the clock.
Miss Mayor, Bram Rivera Beach. I, as a resident.
Hold on, Miss Bram, hold on, because we don't want to give you extra time here.
Thank you.
Because we know you're going to try to get it anyway at the end.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead.
Mayor Bram Rivera Beach. I, as a resident, along with other residents, we are appalled at what has taken place here. We do believe that this was intentionally done. We do believe that. Why do we believe that? No one on that dais, city manager, hold up the cyber security policy. Who has that policy? Ms. Bram wants to see it. Hold it up. Do any of you have a cyber security policy to address? We are in a technology stage here. Where is that? Marie Sullivan, she's dialoguing on the insurance part. But what procedures that we have here in place here? Your HR director should have been here to address this also, to inform we as the residents, where is your cybersecurity policy? City manager too. If you do not have one, this should be the first thing on you all's agenda, because this is devastating to this city here. This is devastation here. We can't operate. You can't operate. Where is that security, cyber policy? And if not, Mr. Evans or whoever is going to come into this city here, put one in place. If you don't have one, because I know you don't have one. Because if you did, you would be dialoguing in with that security policy here. And those steps that are included within that cybersecurity policy to address these malfunctions that are happening here today. Come on now. Ms. Bram, straight up here. Because this is truth here. I was out on today. My condolences goes to Mr. Ed Canuta and his family. I attended that mass celebration up in North Palm Beach today. And I also had lunch with some well CEOs after my mass celebration. We too agree that this was deliberately done. West Palm Beach, Belgrade, Jupiter, everybody have those policies in place. Where is that, city manager? Where is that, you council board? Where is that, city attorney? So if Ms. Bram is incorrect, hold it up and show her. I believe the proof should be in the pudding here in order for you to dialogue in here exactly what has happened to us. This has totally affected this city from every department on down. Where is your policy? And if you do not have it, we as residents demand that it be put in place, and your HR director should have been here.
Thank you,
Because
Ms.
this is important. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bram.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
My name is Cindy Marge. Thanks so much, Kashama, for letting us speak. I must say we can agree and we can disagree. But I must say I agree with you tonight. Over $1 million. I'm like the young lady just spoke. It was intentionally done. Them emails don't be any waste. All these lawsuits you all got pending. Somebody know what's going on. HR director should have been here. Not only the HR director, my question is, Chairman can always find money to put in place for different things, but he can never find money that he should have found and compensated another employee for being terminated wrongly. But we're not speaking about that right now. You all do need to put something in place. 2012, come on, them computers should have been replaced, not with just no hard drive. We have to do better. You all won't change? Let's not start voting on everything that's gonna cost the city money. Botello run this city. And we're gonna let her know that she's not running this city and making all these old stupid decisions. Because it's costing the taxpayers money, Kashama, and you are the chairperson. I mean, everybody can agree and disagree, but $1 million and you all never had nothing in front of y'all till this afternoon, and then you all gonna vote yes on it? Where do you do that at? In a city we love, play, and get sued in. Not work in, but get sued in. We got to do better as a whole. I do want to thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. March?
Good evening,
Good
Bessie
evening.
Brown. I'd like to say, you all should have had this information in front of you when you sat down. And when you decide to make decisions on emergency things and just things that's going on in the city that's just so asinine. Actually, you should have hired the IT man when you had a chance, and we probably wouldn't have never gotten to this point. And now, I have to agree with Mr. Lawson, where we're authorizing $1 million with nothing sure that all of this is really what we need. These are things that we're looking at, and you need someone over Mr. Williams to make sure that this is what we need. And if you're going to approve all of that, we should know for sure. And you should have hired an IT person when you had a chance. And now this is where we are, and you are put into a situation where you're going to spend $1 million, and then you didn't even have anything in front of you until Ms. Lanier asked for a copy of it. You all have to start being more, you have to start being more conscientious about what's going on in this city. This is everything that comes up here should not have to be an emergency and all of this and all of that. But I know you're down. It's down. But this has been going on for the past 4 years, I think, since this Mrs. Kashamba was hired. They've had problems with emails forever, ever since she was first elected. And now we're continuing to go on and on and on. And then it was my understanding that you all have spent, maybe not you all, but the last council had spent about $2 million for something that Mr. Sherman had asked for before, up on the system, and he had asked for something for $4 million. I would like for you all to look into that and find out just what it was he was asking for, and then now all of a sudden did we have this crash, and now this is another $1 million. But you need to know what's going on, and this is to you all that were not here about these things. And I think you shouldn't be approving all of this stuff at one time because you're not sure if it's really what you need.
Thank you.
Mary Beth Kofer, 2640 Lakeshore Drive.
Good evening.
This is a really unfortunate situation, but it brings me back to something that I've brought up before the council in regard to another department. But I think the problem here tonight is poor quality staff work. I realize this is an emergency situation, something has to be done. But I think that there could have been a much better presentation to you coming through the city staff. There should have been some sort of a stoplight chart that said, this is the facility, green, red, yes or no. These are the offices that are affected. These are the systems that are affected. I remember a few weeks ago, we had a similar presentation here talking about server replacement and things like that. I don't remember the exact dollar amount, but it came up, it was a discussion. The laptops and the desktops, that should be part of a tech refresh program. That's not an emergency purchase. It should be budgeted for and planned for. There's no excuse for having machines that are from 2012 out there or even older. I mean, that is just absolutely crazy. So you need to get the IT department to work on some sort of recurring budget program if they don't already have it. But in terms of what they actually need, it should have been broken out in such a way that you could see what was really the system, because it's your system that's down and broke, and what do you need to fix that and bring it back up. And then the little pieces that add on get added on. And certainly public safety issues are very, very important. But this could have been presented to you in such a way by the presenter and the rest of the staff, city manager, the attorney, the risk manager, the finance person. They should have worked together with a coherent presentation that walked you through what the real problem was, because I still don't know what the problem was other than some sort of a malicious email that got into your system and took everything down. And it should have walked you through the solutions so that you wouldn't have to be sitting there trying to figure it out. That's not your job. That is the responsibility of city staff. And if they can't do it, then they shouldn't be on the job and they shouldn't continue to get paid. And I'm sorry that staff continues to put you in this position. I feel very badly for you. And I can say these things because I spent my career as a government servant. I spent my career in finance and budget. I did a career where I presented things to people like you to make decisions. I would have been fired. I would have been fired. Thank you for your time, and I wish you good luck on this one.
Thank you.
To the council, the mayor, and the citizens of Riviera Beach.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm here, I didn't know you had a special meeting. I thought we were gonna have no more of these special call meetings here. The reason why I'm here, when I was leaving my house.
She needs to say her name, and then they need to also do comment cards to preserve the record.
I did say they needed to do a comment card and put it in once they finish. But this is only regarding this item here.
Okay, it's gonna be regarding this item here. The first
State your
item-
name, though. Go ahead and state your
Dolores
name for
Williams.
them.
The first item, I think you had applicants for IT man that could take care of all these problems here. Did y'all have application for those? Did you have 11? You say you looked at the applications, and it was very, very impressive. Now look at what you got. Look what's happening. You need a person to take care of everything. The reason I was leaving my house, and some of the neighbors say, they came and cut my water off and say that the computer's down and I got to pay money. If I want to, I got to pay all this cash money. I don't know what's going on. But if you need an IT person to take care of all this here for the chief, for the fire department, for every department that's in this department, you need a good IT man. What did you say, Councilman McCoy? A well-trained, educated, know what they're doing? That's what you need, someone to know what they're doing. I don't know you. I met you
This way, Ms. Williams.
the building. But you say you had applicants for this job, the IT man. We should get him in here, vet everybody you getting in here first before you bring them back in here. Look at everybody that's been terminated, what they've been terminated for. Look at people, why they was terminated, system down. I was trying to meet with the mayor. He said 50 people here to me. He can't talk to me. Talk to me in the lobby. Trying to call my sweet person over here, the attorney lady. I couldn't make a thing because the system was down. The system is down. Somebody would say the whole, W-H-O-L-E, whole city is messed up. You had some secret meeting. I came to one, I got locked out the door. We need the IT person that's gonna take care. I said, I know it might seem like I'm saying stupid stuff off the wall, but that's what we need. The person to come here that can get the city back up, get the confident and the educated person that that know how to do this. I don't know anything about this young man. I know he was trying to help somebody. I know he was doing his best to do that. So, but if that's what you got and need all these things here, everything has components that need to be put together. but find out how it go. I think they're talking about $1 million, when it could have been straightened out and didn't have all that. What happened to the?
Thank
that
you, Ms.
person that should be
Williams.
there?
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion. Any other discussion?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Williams, will you be handling the complete overhaul of our network and systems and computers with the staff that we have currently, or will you be hiring consultants to come in and assist?
No. Excuse me. I will be working with our current staff. We also have some consultants coming in, and Dell Solutions is also coming in to help with anything that we may need as well. But we do have staff that can handle this. But as far as the networking, and we are going to be I know that the police are working with Dell, and we are going to be working with those same people to make sure that we are in lockstep with what we need to get done as a departments and as a city to get us up and running. But we will have professional services and other people and professionals, one handling the forensics, and then one for the networking, and basically making sure that our systems, now that we are going to separate them, can talk in some capacity for the things that they need. But we will have professional services and yes, people coming in from the outside to help us out as well.
Follow up, Madam
Yes, sir.
Madam City Manager, just a recap of what we're doing for our Chief Information Officer. For Wednesday, you'll be following up with 1 and 2 to see their availability and what price they're interested in coming back in at?
Madam Chair, yes, I'll do that personally.
Okay. Once we have that, can we also take a look to see how quickly they'd be able to start in the event that they are still available?
Yes, sir.
All right, any other questions, comments? Madam Clerk?
Councilperson Lawson,
Yes.
Councilperson Lanier,
No.
Councilperson McCoy,
Yes.
Pro Tem Botel,
Yes.
Chairperson Miller Anderson.
No.
That motion is approved with Councilpersons Lanier and Miller Anderson dissenting.
All right.
Madam
Huh?
Chair, I had, so the vote was
please.
concerning the money item, but I did have some other concerns regarding operationally, and I wanted to ask some questions that's not relative to
The vote.
the vote,
Okay, but it's related to the IT
the
issue?
outage.
Okay, go ahead.
So, I hope, and I don't want to say that that's not true, but have we suspended termination of utility services during this power outage? I'm sorry, during this computer outage?
Mr. Sherman, or you, go ahead.
Madam
Nancy.
Chair.
Go ahead.
It's my understanding, yes, we have.
Okay. And that applies for fines and late fees as well as, other items relative to, what other things that we levy, such as business tax receipts and, library late fees and code enforcement fines and that sort of stuff. Has all of that been suspended?
I can't answer that question with regards to code enforcement fines. I would assume that they would be suspended as well.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I think, I don't know if it's Ms. Williams said that her next door neighbor, somebody's water got cut off?
Yes.
Is that so?
Hold on,
Okay.
hold on.
So just get us that address at the end of the meeting so we can check that out, please.
Mr. Sherman, did you want to add something?
Yeah, the policy was no turnoffs for delinquent payments. The only turnoffs that we have done were at the request of a customer. So again, if they're moving or leaving for time or whatever and have requested to be turned off. As far as late fees and everything, the systems aren't running, so the systems aren't calculating any late fees at this point. And so when the
We got to
system,
keep the voices down in the audience, please.
so when the system comes back on, we can ensure that no one is assessed any late fees.
Mr. McCoy?
But if there is an address, we'll certainly check it out.
I do have a question regarding payroll for next time. How are we looking with that based on where we are?
We are hoping that we can get ADG back up. That obviously would be our best option, and then we can get back to direct deposit in that. We talked to ADG, which is our current payroll provider, and they said if we can get the system back up, they will make an image of our system as quickly as they can, and then if all else fails, we could actually have them run our payroll. Kronos itself is recording time, and when the internet comes up, it'll actually post the hours, and that is outside of our system, so once we get the time in, we just have to get it into ADG. So that's not an internal issue. That's just getting internet running to get the hours. If that fails, we'll go back to what our original plan was last week, which was either run the same payroll a second time, which we can deal with the bank on that, or we would cut accounts payable advance checks, because again, Tyler is up and running and we can use Tyler to do that.
And I want to thank
Our
you
best
all
bet
for
is
your
ADG.
department for trying to make sure that that was not going to be an issue on Friday. So thank you all so much for that. Anyone else have any questions or comments regarding IT? All right. Discussion by city manager. I'm sorry, let me stop. Public comment. You have 3 minutes. And at this time, public comment cards, the acceptance of public comment cards are closed.
You sounded like I will.
Do we have any?
Yes, Madam Chair. Madam Mary Bram, Cindy March, Bessie Brown.
Miss Mary Brown, Riviera Beach.
Good evening.
It's ironic here. Candidate number one, $120,000, the IT guy. That's that buddy system pack, okay? Candidate number two, he said no, he moved on. Candidate number three would not be available. Isn't it ironic? Candidate number one still hanging around. Isn't that's that buddy system pack? See, Miss Brown knows what's going on here too, okay? Isn't that something? Good to see you, Commissioner, Commissioner Anderson. You continue in your speedy recovery. Also, too, a shout out, and I know Ms. Beckton is going to come and give her shout outs to all of the students. You looked at lovely up there on graduation day. You fitted that part there. You was just excellent. Suncoast School graduation, Ms. Bram took in quite a bit of graduations as well as other events. And congratulations to John Lee Williams' daughter, granddaughter, Jaylynn. It was Jaylynn, Granberry, son, Jason Jones, the football star, Jesse Jones' son, J.J. Turner. He's a junior at FAMU. Congratulations to Deidre Jacobs' son, Valerie Grizzle's son, daughter who's pursuing her career in pharmacy. She's a junior this year. So we give you great shout-outs. Shout-outs. Ms. Bram is happy. You were lovely, babe. You were lovely. Just absolutely lovely. And you know, it was taken, superintendent, the speeches, the comments, the delivery that was made, some things stuck with Ms. Bram. Your brain. Use your brain. Use your brain. That was the challenge that he gave the graduates. And another student said, don't get lost in the sauce. Didn't we love that? Don't get lost in the sauce. And another one said, no one discerns who you are. Be that nerd. She ended up with more friends than she could ever have because she winded up with a whole entire family. And am I correct? Mayor, it was lovely. Other students from other schools, because Ms. Bram traveled a little bit out of town, and I enjoyed it. I needed that. Ms. Bram also took some time on a private yacht. I enjoyed that too. So now I'm refreshed and ready to go here, ready to battle for the good of this city here as well as everybody else. But we do need things here that should be in place to move us forward here as a city, and I'm definitely looking forward toward Mr. Evans. But see, all of these things are being done here because, see, Mr. Evans is coming in town here. But number one, the IT guy, he's still hanging around. Isn't that ironic?
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Brown.
Cindy March, Bessie Brown.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Cindy Marge. I'm glad she know Evans coming back. Y'all can find a lot of money for Evans, but I hope y'all find some for Lady Goldwire, which Botel ran her campaign on. Bring Evans back and fire Lady Goldwire. I'm saying to you all now, not because the city some more millions dollar. If you bring Evans back, bring Lady Goldwire back. It's not what you do. It's not what you do. It's how you do it. You can look straight through the wall, but remember, we got a lot of votes, not just on the east side, but the west side too. And we're going to come together to do whatever we need to do for justification. Trust me, it's not a threat, but it is a promise. I don't even understand, and I keep elaborating on and reiterating the same person name when I get up here, Botel and Sherman. I don't even know how Sherman and Gatton still got a job when they interfered with the building inspection. Never went in front of the board to have a hearing saying she's terminated. You all can erase them emails, like she said, but one thing I love about Lady Goldwire, not just because she's my niece, but she has been documenting from day one, and she have every email that Botel sent out. Every email, so even if everything's gonna be lost, we still have proof. So we all will have our day in court. Since I can't get my answers, and I know why I can't get my answers, because it's in litigation. So everybody gonna have their day in court. So I hope you all get all your truth and lies together, because the truth will stand forever. I do want to thank you, and you all do have a blessed night.
Thank you.
Bessie Brown.
She passed. That's it?
That's it.
All right. Discussion by city manager.
Madam Chair, I have no comments.
Discussion by city attorney.
No comment.
City council committee reports. Statements by the mayor and council. Mayor Felder.
No comment.
Councilwoman Botel.
Just a quick note that we had our Workforce Development Task Force meeting today, and it was a full agenda. The first item on the agenda was Sammy Brown's, who is the founding youth liaison to the Workforce Development Task Force, introduced the 5 young people who will represent each of the high schools that our Riviera Beach students attend, and give us information, give us feedback, let us know what the young people in the city need. So that was a good experience today. We also discussed the fact that Palm Beach State College now has a formal marine industries program, and they have committed to developing courseware that's appropriate to deliver in Riviera Beach, right here in Riviera Beach. So we're happy about that. I had a meeting also with the Palm Beach County Sports Commission this afternoon, and they are committed to continuing to support our sports activities. They'll be doing beach tennis over the course of the next several months. Mr. Blankenship has been very instrumental in helping them get that accomplished, so I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Councilman McCoy.
Yes, I think I mentioned this to the manager. Are we in the draft of updating our emergency disaster plan?
Madam Chair, yes, we are. Actually, the 31st of May, we were going to have a drive run of our EOC activities, but of course, it didn't take place because of the computer hardware failure. But the emergency preparedness plan is definitely a part of that activity.
And that includes some component of our backup system for IT as well, correct?
I don't remember seeing that as a part of the emergency operations plan. We were in the process of not only working on it ourselves as a team, but we were going to go out and have assistance to come forward to help us that is intimately involved in that particular activity of developing those types of plans. So in the event that is one of the components, then it'll be added.
Okay. And also, I wanted to bring to the members' attention, and also I did speak to the manager, I believe it was on Sunday, regarding the flooding in Monroe Heights, 26 Court and Avenue O. I know utility has someone on standby 24/7. I want to see that's, and I don't know how it works. I want to make sure that that's the case for stormwater as well as, within, those critical services, because, there was over 2 feet of water at an intersection, and it took quite a while for that to get cleared up. So, we need to make sure that we have those kind of staffing in place, not just from, the distribution side, but, when you have a street that has, for whatever vegetation or something that's blocking the drain, that somebody is there promptly to address that, and it shouldn't have to wait till the next business day. So I definitely want to see if that's something that we can look to do. Luckily, I think we did get a hold to a couple of staff members who was able to promptly address it, but at least going forward, I want to make sure that that's something that we routinely maintain, as well as, I'm traveling down roads and I'm seeing cabbage palm trees blocking stop signs. I don't know what the schedule is for maintaining those things, but, there are a number of things that we need to be addressing as a community, and it is a safety issue. I don't want to have to wait until Monday because, I literally almost seen a couple accidents simply because we're not trimming our trees properly or regularly and routinely. So please, I want to make sure that that's something that we're going to be addressing going forward. That's it, Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Lanier?
I just wanted to say that I really wanted to thank the IT department again for feverishly trying to get the system back up for the city employees who are affected by this and having some problems with trying to do their work, but have always tried to maintain and to continue their productivity. I also want to say that a lot of the issues with our computer system are security issues, and a lot of those issues cannot be addressed publicly. When a security breach is happened at any municipal government, federal or state level, the FBI is involved, and it is a security issue. So a lot of the information that the public may want to know probably cannot be shared based on the fact that it is a security issue and that we don't know who may be watching television in terms of what we're disclosing to the public. So I also want to say again, thank you to the employees of the City of Riviera Beach, and also especially to the IT department for their hard work.
Councilman Lawson?
No comment.
Okay, I don't have any comments other than, as I shared earlier, thank you all so much for trying to work and get this particular item put to rest. But my vote of no was simply because I was not comfortable with just moving forward on a figure and not really knowing fully why or what we were purchasing and why we needed it. We are scheduled to have a workshop regarding the water intrusion immediately after this. Everyone is still on board with that, or are we having second thoughts at this point? Everybody's good? All right, I didn't hear a no, so
Madam
we must be
Chair.
good. Yes.
The mayor wants to comment.
Okay, Mayor?
Yeah, Madam Chair, just one thing, and I know Councilman Lawson asked the city manager to look at those applications. Is it something that we can open up for an IT person, or we just have 2 candidates?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
We can, that particular recruitment process, it can be opened up again.
Can we open it up?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
To open it back up, we have to have our systems back up in place, so we wouldn't be opening it up for a few weeks, right?
Well, what we could do is, we don't have access to the internet here, but the public has access to the internet.
So, Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
So how do we put it out?
At home, someone can open it up at home to reopen it?
No, how do we put it out?
No, I'm asking Ms. Jacobs.
Madam Chair, what I'm explaining is, even though we don't here internally have access to utilize our computers and access the internet, it doesn't prevent anybody from the outside accessing the internet.
But
to
in
advertise.
terms of the job being advertised, it's not still advertising, right?
No, it's not. It's not open right now.
So it would have to be reopened. Would someone in HR be able to reopen it from an outside computer internet system?
Sure, they could. And not only that, we also advertise in other different venues, not only here with the city's internet
Okay.
or website.
But to apply, to attach themselves to the position, they would have to just fill out an application and bring it
It
in.
would have to be a paper application then.
Okay, yes.
So, I understand what the mayor is asking, but I'm not sure, it's not a council decision. So, I want to understand, and I respect what you're saying, Mayor, but what are we doing? Are we opening it up? I believe that's something that has to be determined by the manager.
Right, and
wanna clarify
that's
what-
what I was asking. Could she open it back up? My conversation was directed to the city manager. Could she open that position back up? And I believe our answer was yes. So I don't think it was something to be voted on.
All right, anything else? No?
Okay, so are we scrapping the idea of reaching out to the other candidates? Is that what I'm understanding, Ms. Jacobs?
Madam Chair, no. I don't think that is the question that the mayor was asking, because it was never my intent to scrap reaching out to the
Okay.
other two candidates.
Okay.
All right. If there are no other comments, we will take a 10-minute recess, 8:20, well, a couple more minutes. 8:20, we'll start back up with the city council workshop. We're adjourned.